right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and here's what we have on tap for all of you today. A new Brock Purdy contract report dropped. Got to talk about that. Huge storyline for the Niners and across the National Football League. And I want to go through some potential lineup changes for San Francisco, given what they've done so far in NFL free agency. Let's begin with the Niners starting quarterback. A new Brock Purdy contract report just dropped from Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, and Brock Purdy has a number in mind for what he wants on that new deal, and it could be lofty. Here's the latest with Purdy here. He's entering the final year of his rookie contract, has a base salary and a cap hit of $5.3 million in 2025, and he has been the ultimate bargain for San Francisco considering his level of play, the amount of games that he's won with San Francisco, the level of success that the Niners have had under his watch, and what the Niners have paid him. He's been one of the best deals in the National Football League up to this point, especially when you factor in the importance of the quarterback position. Previous base salaries from his rookie year through last year, $705,000 in 2022. $870,000 in 2023 when he was top 5 in MVP voting and helped lead the Niners to the Super Bowl. And last year, still played on a base salary of under $1 million at $985,000. This year, final year of that rookie contract after he was selected with the final pick in the 2022 draft, he's going to make some more coin at $5.3 million. But Purdy has put up elite production for a bulk of his starting tenure as this team's starting quarterback, and you can make the argument he's been a top 10 quarterback at his position, if not borderline top 10. And given how cheap he's been and how well he has played for the Niners, you can totally see where Purdy is coming from if he has a certain number in mind and if he's going to be stiff with these negotiations and very firm with the price that he wants to demand. Also, you have to factor this in, right? The current quarterback market and quarterback landscape has changed a lot in recent years, and now the going rate for a really good quarterback in the NFL is $50+ million per season. Of course, you always have to factor in the guaranteed money too, but that impacts Purdy's price tag in these negotiations. As for that report from Mike Garafolo, here's what he had to say. John Lynch knows what's coming, and it's that Brock Purdy deal at some point is going to happen this offseason. I know he was the last pick in the draft. You may have heard about it. I know that it's a system that people think, oh, you just plug a quarterback in under Kyle Shanahan. He runs the system. Oh, really? Because the Niners tried to do that with a bunch of guys, and it didn't work out as well as it has with Purdy. So Purdy is going to look at this and say, quote, I need to be paid like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Now, if you go back over the last 5 years or so, you see the quarterback deals that were done. The average per year is usually anywhere from like 21 to 25%-ish of the salary cap. If it's on the low end of that, he's going to clear guys like Trevor Lawrence. Now, he's not going to get to Dak Prescott's number of $60 million per year, but he'll be in the high 50s. Couple of ways to look at that. Seems as though Garafolo got a lot of information, and it was influenced from the agent side of things, trying to drive that price tag up. I think that Purdy is better than Trevor Lawrence. He's certainly performed better than Lawrence since he came into the NFL. If Purdy doesn't get $60 million per year like Dak Prescott, I think that's great for San Francisco. And then you also have to factor in leverage, right? That's a part of this discourse and conversation because as far as leverage goes, the Niners have some of it. Purdy's entering the final year of his deal. What's he going to do? Sit out all of 2025? Purdy could also say, I'm going to threaten to hold out, and then that would be a disaster for this Niners offseason going into 2025 because they'd be without their starting quarterback. But the Niners, back to their leverage, they can utilize the franchise tag. But if the Niners don't pay Brock Purdy, what is the alternative? It's a weak quarterback draft class. Are you really going to move forward with Mac Jones, who up to this point has not played good football, even though he's been in some sketchy environments that aren't ideal for a young quarterback, New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you are in quarterback purgatory in the NFL, you're in no man's land. And you're to a point where, because Purdy has made no cash, he's been such a great bargain, and because he's played really good football, he's going to realistically demand a lofty contract. You look at the highest paid quarterbacks per year, again, guaranteed money, obviously important in a conversation like this, but average annual value is as well, because quarterbacks use that as bragging rights and how they pit themselves against other quarterbacks and their peers across the league. So you see Dak Prescott is making $60 million per season. Is Purdy really going to make more than Josh Allen, Joe Burrow at 55 plus? Purdy is not to the likes of Allen or Burrow, but would you take him over Jordan Love? You could have that debate. I just said I think Purdy's better than Trevor Lawrence. He's better than Tua Tagovailoa. Jared Goff is making 53. That's kind of a bargain for Detroit, but he recently signed that deal. Justin Herbert is making 52.5. Every other GM across the league would take Herbert over Purdy. Lamar Jackson's making 52, and Jalen Hurts is making 51. Now, what's best for the team is if they can lock in Purdy at $45 to $50 million. It really allows you to build up the rest of your football team. And as we've seen, Purdy needs some help. He needs some complementary pieces around him. But what's more realistic? Given what the quarterback market is right now, where it's going, and the NFL being a booming business and the salary cap is only going to continue to be on the uptick, $50 to $55 million is probably the going rate for a quarterback like Brock Purdy in these contract negotiations specifically. And a lot's going to transpire, obviously, over the next several weeks and months. So today's poll question is this. I want to hear from you. Will the Niners strike a contract extension with Brock? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. More to get to here on the show. But first, if you want a Niners jersey, you want a Brock Purdy jersey, you can get one today at chatsports.com/49jersey. That's chatsports.com/49jersey. You can get current players like Purdy, Kittle, Bosa. You can get Niners legends like Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. You plug in that link down below, it'll take you to our friends at Fanatics. And when you use that link down below, Fanatics knows that Chase Sr. and the 49ers Report sent you. It's chatsports.com/49jersey. To the back half of the show. The initial wave of NFL free agency is in the rear view, so I want to go through some potential lineup changes that we could see after a flurry of Niners signings. One of the biggest acquisitions for San Francisco this offseason has been Luke Farrell. He will be the new tight end 2. He is a very good special teamer. The Niners last year really missed the blocking presence of a Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner type. Some new contract details have been released for Farrell, and the deal isn't as bad as what we initially thought. 3 years, $16.2 million, $5.4 million in average annual value, $6 million in guaranteed money. The initial reports, $11 million in guaranteed money. This new deal, or at least the details of it, a lot different than what we thought. And I know that a lot of people were outraged by this signing. This contract and the money makes it a little bit better. Kyle Shanahan clearly wants a tight end 2 who can block, because last year the Niners didn't have that guy. Eric Saubert struggled. Braden Willis isn't a legitimate player. And in this offense, you need a tight end 2 who can block effectively, and in turn, this helps out your special teams unit. And so Farrell's going to be on the field a lot. Be ready for it. We know that Deommodore Lenoir and Renardo Green are going to be the starting outside corners for the Niners in 2025. Both really good young players. Lenoir got that contract extension last year. It's ended up being a bargain with the cornerback market exploding, and Renardo Green is a second-round pick. Played very well in his debut season in the NFL. But the question is, who's going to play in the slot? And the Niners are going to have to do some more work at the cornerback spot, because they simply don't have enough players there. They did sign Trey Brown from the Seattle Seahawks, and according to reports, he could compete for slot snaps. Came into the league with decent pedigree, 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma, only has 13 starts. He said last year he was injured, and the Niners are going to get his best, but that is going to be a really good training camp competition. So, too, is the battle for the starting center. Matt Hennessy could compete with Jake Brendel. If you watch this show, you know that I don't think that Jake Brendel is good enough at that starting spot. People can say, they made it to the Super Bowl with Jake Brendel. And then Brock Purdy was pressured 25 times in that game. And when Jake Brendel has had to go up against some really good interior defensive linemen, he's not strong enough in that lower half, and I don't think he has a strong enough anchor. He's a decent run blocker getting out in space, but he was a journeyman up until a couple of years ago for a reason. What's interesting is that last year, and we talked about this, the Niners picked up Matt Hennessy, who in 2023 couldn't crack the 2024 couldn't crack the Eagles roster. He is a former 3rd-round pick out of Temple University, 22 starts, is a pretty good athlete, has had to deal with injuries, does have some upside. Chris Forster really likes him. And then Drake Nugent could be competing for the backup role behind either Hennessy or Jake Brendel. But Hennessy, Brendel going to duke it out for that starting spot. And then Drake Nugent, the UDFA out of Michigan and Stanford, is going to be in the mix as well. The Niners are said to love Colton McKivitz. They look at him as the bee's knees. I think a lot of that is because they don't pay him a lot of money. But he could be the team's starting right tackle in 2024. And give credit where credit is due. Colton McKivitz bounced back from a pretty porous 2023 season when he gave up nearly 50 pressures. Now, last year, that pressure number allowed got down to 36. I don't think he's fast, twitchy, strong enough to be a starting right tackle for a team with Super Bowl aspirations. But the Pro Football Focus numbers, and you can't fully hinge everything with offensive linemen on PFF numbers, did improve year over year. Yetur Gross-Matos, he survived the wave of cuts and the players who the Niners let go along the defensive line. Javon Hargrave out, Malik Collins out, Leonard Floyd out. All of those players went to different teams, and they signed monster contracts. And Yetur Gross-Matos, who the Niners signed to a 2-year, $18 million contract going into 2024, looks to have a pretty good opportunity here to prove why he was a 2nd-round pick out of Penn State by the Carolina Panthers. And going into the draft, he would be this team's starting defensive end, opposite of Nick Bosa. Has length, is a really good athlete. I thought he played pretty solid last year coming off that knee injury, but now he's going to have a full season potentially to really prove his value, and the Niners need it because that defensive line right now, as it stands, bottom 5 unit in the NFL. Be sure to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. So much Niners content here on YouTube and on my social media pages.